Hello folks, this is Brother Samuel with Agape Ministries, and today I'm going to take you on the walk with me. Look at this beautiful sunset I'm showing you. You'll be walking while learning something very useful for your life. Specifically, we're going to talk about Ikigai. That's the Japanese concept of reaching that equilibrium in life. Basically, where you essentially do what you like to do, being creative or whatever your occupation is, and at the same time you are getting paid for your activities. So Ikigai is the name. Look it up if you want to get into more details. But I'm also going to cover briefly, in a condensed version, how to make money. I'm going to make a separate video about that. International trade. A contract, 2-year contract could pay you anywhere between $100,000 to $900,000 per month. That's not annual, that's per month. So I'm going to cover that. Also, I will talk about this fake pandemic that's happening today. I'm also going to cover another fake pandemic that happened, the subprime mortgage of 2007 and 8, how they pulled it off. Somebody's making billions of dollars off of regular people that are not basically not in tune with reality. And so the idea of being at the top game in your life, meaning understanding the events, understanding what causes many people today, I was told, have this anxiety and stress, and many young people have autism, which wasn't the case. 20 years ago, according to the Yale Medical School, that did a study, 1 out of 10,000 children had autism. Today, it's 1 out of 50, and they predicted in the next few years it will be 1 out of 2. So everybody will be autistic. Can you imagine that? They will need help, tying their shoes and eating, and it's just, the society will collapse completely just based off of that information, which is quite alarming. So why is it happening? Let's delve into that. We're going to look at the spiritual aspects of everything while you're looking at this beautiful sunset. We're going to look at the physical and financial aspects. So this is our kind of online ministry to let people globally, no matter where you are, you can apply these principles. Be healthy, wealthy, and a happy human being on this planet, no matter where you live. So, number one, spirituality. In order to be in equilibrium with yourself, with your loved ones, with your family, with society, you have to turn off TV. So if you're watching television, turn it off. It's complete garbage. It's a propaganda machine that indoctrinates you. In fact, if you go to school, like public school in the United States, just like any other public school in any other country, it's an indoctrination machine. Indoctrination. If you go to college, especially a state college, private colleges are slightly better, but a state university or college, it's a massive indoctrination machine designed to create slaves for the ruling class. In this case, in America, the ruling class of America wants to have these slaves lined up to do all the manual labor for them, so to speak, and so all the hard work, long story short. And so they have created this system. You have to go to college 4 years, 5 years, then owe a lot of money in student loans, and be part of the system that they have set up for you to fit in. And they give you a little medal. They give you this little, I'm joking here, gold medal. No, they give you a little piece of paper, diploma that says you are qualified to be a slave for the system. The only exception, of course, would be if you're a doctor. That particular system does, obviously is justifiable. You need specialized training. But the rest of the professions, the rest of the professions don't require that type of a rigorous training. And so this is why we have this online type of interaction where you can get all of the information you need to start your own international business, to get rid of all of your anxiety, panic attacks with simple breathing exercises that are actually phenomenal. I mean, it's it's like miracles, basically. They do miracles for many people. And so, and also how to understand, you learn the psychology of connecting with other people, both pure psychology and some spiritual psychology. I'm going to talk about the frequency of God. God is the creator of the universe, the engineer who created all of us, and he operates on this special frequency that we can tap into, which I'm going to share with you how to start. Ideally you go on a 7-day fast, on a retreat somewhere where you don't even check your email, you just listen to Gregorian chants. That's a beautiful Latin meaning the old dead language, Gregorian chants from the Catholic Church. Catholic simply means universal, by the way, just for your information. At that time it was one church until the Great Schism of 1061 AD, Anno Domini, which means in the year of our Lord. And that's where the Eastern Church became the Greek Orthodox and Russian Orthodox, Romanian Orthodox, and the Western Church became known as what we know today as the Roman Catholic Church of the West. Prior to that it was one church. So they had these traditions, very beautiful, eloquent, very deep, and quite true. People were able to, the early fathers of the church were able to actually connect with nature in such a unique way that no Indian yogi could even, they were quite on the same level. The yogis those who can levitate off the ground, who are not afraid of animals, that sort of thing. But the Greek and the Russian Orthodox elders in the church, I'm talking about over 1,000 years ago, were able to, or like Mary of Egypt, she didn't sleep, she didn't eat, she didn't have anything, and she was in the desert of Egypt. So the early fathers of the church were able to tame wild animals, folks, wild animals. They would give them all of their food, they would not be afraid, and when the locals would say, do you want us to kill this bear that keeps coming back, he says, no, that's my little brother that comes to me to be fed. The point is, they had an unprecedented connection to nature, to the animal kingdom, and they could understand their language. So in a condensed version, I'm giving you the path to God, to peace, to tranquility, and to the animals. It starts actually with a tree. When you come up to a tree like this, you touch it, and you basically try to meditate on the frequency of this tree. You thank the tree for the oxygen it gives. I'm talking about you have to get in the special zone. You touch the tree and you basically stay with it for about half an hour, and you meditate on that frequency. And the more persistently you will push through, the doors will be open. Remember the saying, knock and it shall be open to you, ask and it will be given to you. And so that frequency will it will illuminate you. You will become illuminated. Not like the Illuminati's, but in a different way, in a godly, spiritual way. And so that's the first step into connecting with God. This is the frequency of God that just a small number of people on this planet knows about. I'm sharing it with you. So the Ikigai is similar to that. That's the Japanese concept of that, but it's very similar, but it involves doing something with your hands that you get paid for. So if you're a creative person, you create something and you enjoy, this is the best thing that you enjoy in your life, and actually happens to be your occupation or profession, and you get paid for that. That's the ideal concept in the Japanese culture. I'm simply comparing the systems from all over the world and giving you the best of the best that you can apply no matter where you live. I happen to be in the United States, but if you live in Europe, we're watched in 43 countries, so this video goes out anywhere where English is spoken and understood. And let me just tell you a little bit more about this frequency of God, because it's very, very, very important. You see, everything starts with your spiritual kind of understanding of the world. And I will briefly tell you, because otherwise it would take me hours. So there are the dark forces and there are the forces of light, the positive, that are here to help us and support us. And then there are the dark forces, the demons, or in Islam they're called Iblis or Shaitan. They come and they are not visible to us in the physical realm. We cannot see them. At least if you're normal, you cannot see them. If you have schizophrenia, if you have other, well, what's so-called, quote-unquote, schizophrenia, which is undiagnosable, it's just something that's written in the 5th edition of the very thick book. It keeps getting thicker and thicker with new terminology. Every time you sneeze the wrong way, it's going to be in that book. So the dark forces, their basically role is like yin and yang. Basically, it's like two opposing forces. Their job is to entice us, pervert us. They wreak havoc in our lives. They cause problems. They actually cause people to steal, to kill, to murder, to all the bad things you can think of. Those are the demons, the Iblis in Islam. And by the way, why is it that our Muslim brothers and sisters pray 5 times a day to God, and our good old Christians don't do that? Why is that? Well, because in Islam it's mandated to pray at certain times. They go by the lunar calendar, just like the early church also was strictly going off of the lunar calendar. So every year, you know, the dates would be not falling on the same dates. So it was disrupting trade, and so that's why calendar was changed. Christmas in the Western Hemisphere is always falls on the same date. It's more convenient for trade. It doesn't disrupt it, unfortunately, but that's the story. But both Islam and the original early church was on the lunar calendar, and of course all the followers of Islam are still following the lunar calendar. And so 5 times a day, every day is a different time, they have to get down on their knees, prostrate, which means face down. This is how you appear before God. And this is actually not an Islamic thing. It's just how church used to be. Everybody, and still they do that in Greek and Russian Orthodox Church. They do those prostrations. And in Buddhism, if you go to Mount Kailash, which is the 2nd tallest mountain in the world after Mount Jamalungma, or as it's known in the West, Mount Everest. Mount Kailash is the holy mountain that is forbidden. Nobody is allowed to climb the mountain, and there are actually guards who guard the mountain. But that's what Hitler was trying to penetrate the secrets of that mountain, because there are a lot of secrets. I'm going to make a separate video about that surround that region and in Tibet and surround that mountain. Mount Kailash is the most sacred mountain for all the Buddhists. But they prostrate 10,000 times while walking around, crawling around the mountain in Tibet. And here in the West, we want to talk to God while we're sending Him a text message, or while we're driving or eating a fat burger or something like that. It's disrespectful. This is why my particular posture, or my opinion on that, is we should go back to the early days. If you pray to God, show some reverence, some respect. You know, a little symbolic prostration wouldn't break your back. That's my opinion, and so you know, take it or leave it. But the point is, everywhere outside of the Western Hemisphere, people still do the prostrations. They show reverence to God, and people in the West are very spoiled, and they don't want to show any respect. That's why today children, you know, in the West don't listen to the parents. Very argumentative, because somewhere down the line the system got broken. For example, what happened when a boy likes a girl and they fornicate? Fornication means sex outside of you know, legitimized marriage for 5 minutes of pleasure. Now they have a child. Nobody can, you know, provide for this child financially, so the mother is stressed, the father is gone, and here lies the problem. If everybody's doing that, that's what started to happen around the world. All these children today that are born out of wedlock are essentially kind of orphaned. They're orphans who are, well, I mean, they're raised by single parents, usually mothers, and that's the beginning of the problem, folks. This sort of undisciplined approach to this wreaks havoc in many people's lives. This is just the beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg. What lies below is the spiritual foundation, or the lack thereof. And so, what do we need to do, you might ask? Well, we need to get back to spiritual foundation. We need to learn the principles of how to be healthy, wealthy, and just overall well-balanced individuals. This is exactly the message that I'm sharing with you online right now for free. It's been accumulated over the past 20 years, and I would like to say that this is, the core of my ministry, is to share with you perhaps in a new format. Because of this fake COVID-19 pandemic, nobody goes to church, nobody goes to a mosque or a Buddhist temple or a synagogue, and so we are caught by some crooks who are doing the same thing they did in 2007 with another fake financial crisis involving subprime mortgage instruments. Those ABSs, and MBSs, those are the instruments that were used to essentially pollute the financial system, and then they were shorting them. Do your research, see what happened there in 2007 and 8 and 9. And the same thing is happening now. Somebody made hundreds of billions of dollars, 10 years ago, and now we're dealing with the same pandemic. It's like a mirror image, except now you have to wear masks, and you cannot even meet face to face because of how these crooks put it all together. They pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. It's marvelous. But people like me, they see right through this BS. They see this nonsense, and they laugh. We all laugh, but it's going to pass, and in 10 years, the majority of the people, or the herd, the sheep will realize that they got fooled, and hopefully next time they'll be smarter. But so, folks, don't be like sheep. The message here is loud and clear. You need to be connected to the source of all life. You need to know how to provide for your family financially. You need to know how to eat properly. Or if you are overweight, how to lose weight. Get on a grapefruit diet. I did. In 90 days I lost, I don't even remember, 40, 50, 60 pounds. It's just remarkable. Nobody even talks about it because it's just organic grapefruits. Those large, I'm showing here, large Texas or California organic grapefruits, or wherever you live, those largest you can find. Eat one on an empty stomach in the morning, and that should be it. It has special enzymes that boost your metabolism and do all kinds of other things that are absolutely crucial to your health. And then maybe you eat a moderate lunch, and then a little bit of dinner, something for dinner, and that's it. And then, of course, you have to exercise, folks. You must exercise because, this is why I'm taking you on the walk with me. I jog every day, I bike every day, I play tennis, and you must be doing the same if your health allows. And that way, this is, God's creation. Look at this. Look at it. This is beautiful. We are meant to be outdoors most of the time, not stuck on computers or playing video games. Okay, and now we're coming back to this beautiful lake I wanted to show you. See, this is very serene, very tranquil. No matter how stressed you might get, just by getting here out in nature, if you could find a place like this wherever you live, where you can walk, exercise, meditate, talk to the trees, then and then I'll tell you more how to get on that 7-day fasting retreat from the early church fathers. It's a mystic tradition. A lot of mystics connect with God in a direct way. And so look, no matter how stressful your day is, if you come to a tranquil place like this, I'm pointing my finger, I'm showing you, this will relax you, this should relax you after about half an hour meditation. Meditation simply means paying attention to this beauty and not paying attention to anything else. Your problems should be a thing of the past while you're surrounded by this nature. And so the 7-day fast was used by the early church mystics And there's a procedure, there's a methodology how to achieve that. And I will cover it right now, so you'll know, you'll have the gist or the summary of that, so you don't even have to read the book. Go to Canada to those special retreats of the Helen Hook. You can look up Helen Hook's book. She was a Orthodox and then became Catholic, or the other way around, Catholic became Orthodox nun. Sister Helen wrote a book, Sister Hook, H-E-U-C-K, about the retreat. So you can, if you can't get away from your relatives and friends, and you cannot sort of completely turn off all your phones where you live, you're surrounded by animals, by your children, by your family members, then you need to go on a one-week retreat. They will provide you there in Canada a cabin, log cabin with a candle and a Bible and water. That's it. There is no food, there is no need for food because you won't need it. Food actually, it actually distracts you from hearing the voice of God. That's right, God speaks in silence. While you're in silence, not Him. He begins to speak when you stop talking. And so by going on a 7-day retreat, I'll tell you how you'll feel from my personal experience. So, first of all, no communication, no email, no newspapers of any kind. Zero communication. Zero. When you see a person, you don't speak with them. If you want, you can carry a note in your pocket that says, "I'm sorry, I do not, whatever, deaf," whatever you want to say, but don't talk to anybody. Otherwise, it will defeat the purpose here. So then you basically, if you want, you can listen to Gregorian chants. It's a beautiful church music. It should put you in the right frame of mind. So you meditate, you pray, you read the Bible, or you could just, without reading anything, you just meditate. And day one, without any human contact, here's what happens. You realize that after the first day was tough, you realize that many thoughts that come into your head are actually not yours. You're being influenced by other beings, human or non-human. Day two, you realize, my goodness, actually everything you've learned was just somebody else's idea. Day three, you begin to hear, you get closer to hearing the language of the animals, the birds, the trees. You begin to, okay? Day four, you get very close to nature. Day five, you begin to actually recall the minute details from your past and get closer to reading other people's minds. Even remotely, you don't need to see them. Day six, you begin to feel the presence of God. And day seven, you read people's thoughts. And you actually are able to, not audibly, but tune in into the frequency of God. This is the frequency that I'm talking about here, that I've mentioned earlier. Frequency of God is when you actually are able to connect with God, not have any stress, because stress is an illusion. It's a force that operates in this world based on our erroneous actions and thoughts and words. Our thoughts and words are material. Actually, I could say to this plant right here to wither away, and it will wither away. Remember what Jesus did? You could do the same thing. Jesus said you could do the same things, even greater things. You can do the very same thing. Of course, we're not going to destroy this beautiful plant. It's all in balance, perfect balance. And the point is, you can do that. And when you are angry with someone, that's what you do to them and to yourself. That causes stress. That's the primary reason for you having anxiety, schizophrenia, which is not a diagnosable thing. It's a made-up little term. It means there's a schism between you and reality, simply caused by past traumatic events usually, which today they call them PTSD events. But overall, you can be cured from that. And I will make a separate video on that, how to bypass your psychiatrist or psychologist and do it yourself with nature. I'm just sharing with you the secrets. You could just sort of follow this path and everything will be okay. Doing breathing exercises will help. How do you breathe? Normally we don't breathe correctly. We breathe too shallow, and there is no pause between inhaling and exhaling. There should be a pause of a few seconds. And if you get up to 60 seconds between inhaling and exhaling, you have arrived. That means your body will be in complete equilibrium. You will not be stressed, and you will not have any kind of issues of any kind. You know, the CO2 levels will be where they need to be. And that's what yogis do. They spend the most of their life to try to perfect the breathing. And those who are able to achieve that, they reach what they call nirvana. But we're not interested in nirvana. Nirvana is is actually the intentional exit from this physical world. We're not into that sort of a mysticism. We're just strictly using the breathing exercise to be healthy, to be mentally and physically healthy. And it will also bring your spirits up, for sure. 100%, I guarantee you that. So do that daily in the morning when you wake up. Thank God for the day. Ask for the angels to be with you, to protect you, to keep you safe, and He will do so. Just have faith. Remember, you always have to have faith. And this is why I have this channel and this message always available for you, so that you can tune in any time for some encouragement, because you probably are, perhaps unable to get it in the real world, and now you have this virtual world that you can just tap into, and I'm sharing with you everything I'm seeing here, this beauties, so you can see what I see. And that is my message, folks. This is to conclude today's message. Help is available. Help from God through my voice. I'm vocalizing what God would tell you through the path that I took. That yes, you can reach balance, you can reach equilibrium, you can be very successful in business. You don't have to be this sort of a weirdo that just reads books. No, you could be a business person, if that's your thing, and be also spiritual. Remember, I shared with you, I believe, I made my first million at the age of 14 and a half. I was trading currencies. Then I switched to international global trade, commodities trading. And so that's what I will be sharing with you, how to get into this balanced platform, to have everything perfectly balanced in your life without popping pills or seeing a psychiatrist, because that was funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. The entire school of psychiatry in the West was founded in New York City as a methodology to control the masses. Remember the sheep. Don't be a sheep. Don't be like sheep. Don't follow in the herd's mentality. Be independent, but be smart. Don't be independent and stupid, but be smart. That means reach out to people who know more than you. And, share the message if you like it, of course. If you benefited from it in any way. But that's the honest to God sort of a unscripted presentation from my heart to yours. I'm here to help you through my ministry, to help you get well, to help you be successful in life. And this is how it's done. Due to the pandemic, the old-fashioned gathering in church, or in a mosque or in a synagogue or in a temple, I believe that's going to be on hold for a while. This is why we have to communicate like this. And I decided to show you the beautiful nature here instead of anything else, and the background of it. So this is it, folks. I hope to see you at the very top. I truly hope that the angels of God will keep you safe. That's my little benediction here at the end. I hope that they will give you wisdom to follow this message that comes from God through me, and I will give you my very best advice and recommendation for you to reach your full potential, or ikigai, as it's known in the Japanese culture of samurai warriors. It started with them, and ikigai is wonderful, and that's what I believe deep inside, no matter what name you put, what label you put on it, deep inside every human being on this planet wants to reach this equilibrium, this ikigai, this beautiful place of being balanced with God, with nature, with your family members, And forgiveness is very important also. I'll do a separate video on forgiveness. It's very, very important. If you have some grudges or unforgiven spirit, unforgiven sin in your life, that you have to just let people off the hook, and you will be left off the hook as well. You'll be forgiven as well. You know, that's very, very important. Otherwise, it's hanging over your neck like an unbearable stone that you cannot carry. It's too burdensome if you have not forgiven a certain person in your life, a friend or family, or perhaps your ex-wife, your ex-husband. You have to let them go, forgive them from the heart, not just saying that. Saying is meaningless. You have to, inside of you, within yourself, before yourself, for yourself, know that you have forgiven that person who's done a lot of harm to you, no matter what that is. Just try, just contemplate that for a second. I'll make a separate video on that. But this is my short version of everything all-inclusive today of what to expect, really. This is just an introduction into my message here. My message is quite thorough. And, I mean, it's quite long. It's quite thorough, meaning there's a lot of moving parts in that device that we call meaningful life. And we're all thinking participants in this thing called life. So let's think together. I'll share with you some ideas, and of course, my only hope that you will take them to heart, and most importantly, apply them. Because whatever you hear today, and if you don't apply any of these principles, it would be as if you never heard of them, and would be like you've wasted another so many minutes of your time. And by the way, we only come here into this reality for 5 minutes, roughly, for just a few minutes. This 80 years that we get, or 60 years that we get, is only in the eyes of eternity just a few minutes. So if you already are 30 or 40, let's say, or approaching that age, that means you've already spent half of that allotted time on earth. So out of 5 minutes, you got 2.5 minutes left, so to speak, to live on this planet. What are you going to do? You have to realize, you have to already know where you are, what you need, what you want to have, and that's the purpose of my ministry, is to help you realize that, to help you realize your full potential, to be happy, to be drug-free. I will make a separate video on that. Alcohol-free, of course. It's don't even get me started on that topic. And be surrounded by people just like me, positive, spiritual, business-oriented people that are doing nothing but something productive with their lives, and they're helping each other. That's what we're here for on this 5-minute journey on this planet, is to help each other. And that is really the gospel, or evangelion. In Greek, evangelion means the good news. The good news is that God has reached down to us and allowed us to have this message that there's hope. Unlike the flood, when he basically exterminated the entire human race because it was very, very evil, and living in sin beyond what we probably have. But it's getting pretty close, so we have to be very conscious of what we do, what we say, and so that the great flood would not be repeated. Because there's order in this universe, there's hierarchy, and if you violate this order, you will have disobedient children who don't respect you as a parent. You'll have disobedient or disrespectful spouses. You'll have chaos. We don't want chaos. We want harmony. We want tranquility. Most importantly, we want peace, like this peace right here. And that is the message for today, folks. Enjoy this beautiful view.